Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, it is time for the SLS Gaming Network live edition, if you will, of the NFL mock draft. You can check us out on slsgamingnetwork.weebly.com. On there, you will find up-to-date mock drafts. This will be our live mock draft prior to free agency, which begins this week. So, that being said, you know anybody who is down with the NFL, by all means, please get that out there to people right now. I'm in the process right now. And I will go over my mock draft as of right now on where I can see people going. So just give me a moment. I'm going to use my Skype. I'm going to use my Twitter. I'm going to put it out there. Make sure everybody knows we are live. And then, like I said, I will go into mock. Interesting. Yeah, quite the static look going on, but that's all right. Not want to stop streaming. Interesting. Okay, putting it out here. What's going on, Samurai? I see Brandon Cuevas is in the house. I just got to get this shared out one more place, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start getting into it. Let you guys know where I'm at with my mock draft. Again, check it out, slsgamingnetwork.weebly.com. That's slsgamingnetwork.weebly network. And that's that. And I know Trent Brown, I was thinking of hearing about that this morning. Trent Brown's going to be a key free agent look for the Raiders. I know they're looking at him big time, so we'll see. Okay. Danny Amendola signed with the Lions. I'm not sure who saw that. I was looking at information on C.J. Mosley. It turns out the Lions, Colts, Eagles, Jets, Washington, and of course the Browns have interest. Also, the Cardinals and the Browns have been linked to him as well. So that's going to be a interesting situation. All right, last tweet. There we go. All right, if you haven't seen us on SLS on Twitter, check us out, SL Studios _. That's at SL Studios _ on Twitter. Follow us there for all things this channel. Also, as far as the website goes. So, this way you guys are all aware. Updating that right now, actually, on my Twitter. SLS Gaming Network. There we go. Beautiful. All right, now, that being said, I'm going to jump right into this free agent, mock draft before the free agency. Let you guys know what I'm thinking as I sit here and drink my Nas high performance energy drink. So we can just say we're sponsored by Nas right now. Why the hell not? And if you're in the chat right now, support one another. Go to everybody's channel, drop that sub button, give each other love and support. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that being said, let's get into it. Leave your opinions, comments, what you think. Tell me I'm nuts, I'm crazy. We'll see what we think. Obviously, this is, again, before the preseason. This will change once the preseason gets in high swing. And I'll be making updates as we go along and as we do things later this week. So bear with me on this as we go. All right. So the 2000 NFL mock draft, you got the first pick, goes to the Arizona Cardinals. This is going to be trade free. I'm suspecting some trades taking place. And as a result of the trades taking place, of course, the mock draft is going to get thrown in a whirlwind. And if I'm the Cardinals, of course, I'm trying to trade down. I don't care the year. I don't care the talents available. When you're picking first, you need as much draft capital as you can get. Always try to trade down. Brandon Cuevas, I saw your comment. I was worried about getting AB on the team simply because I didn't want to give up too much. I don't believe the prima donna attitude. I don't believe he's a cancer. I don't believe he's a locker room distraction. And the reason being is you tell me when this was said about him prior to this bullshit going on right now. You didn't. You didn't see it. You didn't hear it. You didn't come across it. He's a typical diva wide receiver. They're all over the league. What you see out of AB right now was a guy who saw his buddy Le'Veon Bell get done dirty more than once by the Steelers. Now, did the Steelers do him dirty vindictively? No, it's business. They franchise tagged him for business reasons, but it was still doing the guy dirty. AB refused to be that next guy to be done dirty. Started acting like an immature dick just to lower his trade value as a way of saying, fuck you, Pittsburgh. Get me out of town before it's too late, because they don't take care of their players near the end of their contracts. It's just not what they do. So AB did what he did to find his way out the door. For a third and a fifth, I am 100% completely okay with that, because the Raiders still maintain 4 draft picks in the top 35 and 5 in the top 106 picks. That's enough firepower to load up, get players on this team. I expect them not to be heavily involved in free agency, but I expect them to go after a couple guys in free agency. As I just mentioned a minute ago, Trent Brown, I think, is going to be a major key for them to chase. All of a sudden, they're linked to Le'Veon Bell because we have AB. I don't buy that, even though we could use a running back. But getting to the topic at hand, NFL mock draft. First pick, Arizona Cardinals. I believe, whether it is the Cardinals or not the Cardinals who picked number 1, this guy's going to be the number 1 guy off the board. And no, it's not going to be Nick Bosa, who I don't even have ranked the best defensive lineman in the draft, by the way. He's number 3, maybe 4 on my list. But the Arizona Cardinals will go with Kyler Murray, quarterback, Oklahoma. And they may trade Rosen for a second-round pick. What's up, Spec? My man Chris Davis in the house. So, like I said, Kyler Murray. And don't be surprised if a team like the Giants give up their second-round pick to the Cardinals to get Josh Rosen. I'm calling that now as a possibility. Giants give up a second-round pick to the Cardinals for Josh Rosen. If Josh Rosen was in this draft, he'd be the number 1 guy taken. What's going on, Lucius West? Maybe not number 1 overall, but he'd be the number 1 quarterback off the board, bar none, because Josh Rosen is a better, more complete quarterback than anyone in this draft. Period. So I don't know why the Cardinals would go with Kyler Murray, other than the fact that Kyler Murray definitely fits Cliff Kingsbury's scheme. We'll call it that. All right, moving on. San Francisco 49ers will pick second. As a result of the hype, all the hoopla on him still being there. And again, I don't agree with the choice, even though I'm going to pencil it in because this is what I suspect them to do. I got the San Francisco 49ers taking defensive end out of Ohio State, Nick Bosa. We got an announcement from the Eagles, do we? Oh, boy. An announcement from the Eagles. You can only imagine with the Eagles. They're going to sign Malik Jackson, are they? Okay. Not a bad move for the Eagles. That frees them up. And going after something. So, yeah, that could be a nightmare for teams in the middle. You got to like that, Chris. You got to like that. All right, going on to number 3. The New York Jets. I think the Jets need an edge rusher more than anything else. But with the thought of teaming Leonard Williams up with another man named Williams, when their defensive coordinator is named Williams, they're gonna have the Williams show. And I got the Jets taking defensive tackle out of Alabama, Quinnen Williams. Teaming him up with Leonard Williams in the middle is going to be a nightmare for teams. And I think he really fits well in Greg Williams' scheme. So I expect that to be just where they go. I expect it to be a solid choice. I expect it to be how they take their draft this year if he's there at number 3. As I drink more of my Nas. And again, like I said, when I make these picks, you guys don't agree with something, think I'm crazy, chime it in. Let's see what people think. All right, moving on to number 4. The Raiders still maintain the 4th overall pick, despite acquiring AB. So that being said, the Raiders will hit their biggest need, and that's going to be somebody coming off the edge, a guy who's going to be able to play defensive end or outside linebacker. And the guy I have them penciled in to take is the guy I want them to get as a Raiders fan. And I've gone on record and tweeted this more than once. The guy I have the Raiders taking, I am predicting will be a better NFL player than Khalil Mack. I think he's going to have a greater career than Khalil Mack. And that is Josh Allen out of Kentucky. I've gone on record and said this more than once. Josh Allen, by the end of the day, will have a better career and be a better NFL player than Khalil Mack. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's more athletic. All that coming out of college than Khalil was. Now, Khalil put in the time, Khalil put in the effort to continue to grow, to continue to produce, and by the end of the day, is a damn beast. I expect the same out of Josh Allen, and since he's already ahead of him coming out of college, I expect him to be better. All right, moving on to number 5, Tampa Bay. I can have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going in 75 different freaking directions. But I'm going with a hunch, and I think they want to get themselves also an edge rusher. So I got them taking Rashawn Gary, defensive end, Michigan. Now, when I started talking, I said you don't be surprised if the Giants go get Rosen with a 2nd-round pick. I'm calling that. I have not seen that mentioned nowhere. I've not heard anybody even talking about it. I'm saying it. New York Giants, Josh Rosen, 2nd-round pick. Therefore, with the 1st-round pick, the New York Giants are going to take Jawan Taylor, the offensive tackle out of Florida. I'm going to say it now. They don't go quarterback in the 1st round regardless. They do not take a quarterback in the 1st round. I got a hunch on this now. Trust me on this. Jawan Taylor, offensive tackle out of Florida. Now, number 7, Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to do what they need to do to get Nick Foles, is the assumption. That does not change their draft philosophy, because Nick Foles is not the long-term answer. He's the short-term answer, and the reality is he's going to be nothing more than a bridge. That's right. He's going to get $20, $24 million, $25 million contract per season to be a bridge. That's a hell of a deal for him. And they're going to take Dwayne Haskins, quarterback, Ohio State, at 7. This way he can sit on the bench for 2 years. Remember, he's a sophomore. So the Jaguars are going to want to produce with him, get him productive, and get him to learn the system, get him to understand the NFL philosophy, and get him to grow. To get him to grow from the bench while Nick Foles holds it down. Dwayne Haskins, Jacksonville Jaguars, number 7 overall pick. Moving on to number 8. I know Alex Dars in the chat was just saying who the guys think is going to take, who the Lions will take at number 8. Alex, I'm going to go with the Lions out of Mississippi State, defensive end, Montez Sweat. I think that's the direction they go. And this is the thing with the Lions. The Lions could go in 100 different directions as well. And there's a lot of guys on the board they could take that could be big. Could they go wide receiver? Yes. Could they go tight end? Yes. Could they go defensive player on the defensive line? Yes. They jump all over the place. But I see them taking Montez Sweat, the defensive end at Mississippi State. That's that. Number 9, Buffalo Bills. You got your quarterback. Josh Allen needs somebody to throw to. I don't buy the hype. I don't believe in the hype. I'm not big on the hype. I've mentioned this already to a couple people. Okay? I'm not sold on everything. I'm not sold on everything this guy brings to the table. And here's what I say. I said, despite being medically cleared by the doctors, this kid had a scary neck injury suffered last season, has limited experience, just 21 games played. And this has to give some teams pause. Now, oh boy, he has big-time combine numbers, but we've seen many players come and go in the combine and turn out to be busts. I'm not sold on him because he doesn't have much agility. He's got speed and power. But I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills take DK Metcalf, wide receiver out of Mississippi. And don't be surprised, out of the top 10 picks I just made, if this was the top 10, he'd be the biggest bust of the 10. But you can flip that coin. He might be the biggest star of the 10. That's the point with this kid. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. And I wish him well. And I hope it all comes to tuition for him. And side note, Eric Metcalf, one of my all-time favorite players in the NFL, who was never a Raider. All right, number 10, Denver. Denver went and they got themselves a quarterback and Joe Flacco in free agency. Well, not really free agency. It was a trade. Flacco will be nothing more than a bridge quarterback as well, because Denver's general manager, who I can't stand, John fuck you Elway, is completely in love and has a man crush on Drew Lock. If Drew Lock is on the board at 10, Denver takes Drew Lock. End of discussion. On my mock draft, Drew Lock is there. Denver Broncos at 10 take Drew Lock, quarterback, Missouri. All right, number 11, Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals can jump all over the board, jump all over anything they want. But the one thing I see them doing is, after what's going on with them this past season, they need themselves one position to me to help out the Red Rifle. Now, granted, they constantly try to help out this Red Rifle, and they constantly try to get him better. They constantly try to bring him in. They constantly try to get him set up. Tyler Eifert is hurt, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think he's ever going to be the same. So, you can't trust Azuma, Langle, Croft, who I don't even know how many of them guys are even going to be brought back. So, they take what a lot of people think is the best tight end in the draft, TJ Hawkinson, tight end from Iowa, goes to the Bengals. #12, 12, Green Bay Packers. I'm just going to ramble this one off quick. I see the Packers getting defensive line help. Clelin Ferrell, defensive end, Clemson. Now you come to the Miami Dolphins at 13. A lot of people want to say, oh, if he's on the board, Miami might take Daniel Jones at quarterback. I think Miami wants Tua next year. How about that? Tua next year. So what I see Miami doing, they brought in a new head coach. What's the head coach's specialty? Oh, yeah. Defense. So he's going to want to start to build his defense. So what's he going to do with the defense? He's going to go and grab possibly the best player in this draft at linebacker. And they take Devin White out of LSU. Because their total defense was 29th last year. They were 31st against the rush. 31st against the rush. You cannot be successful with that. You just can't. They started out 3-0, and then everything fell apart. The wheels just fell off the damn thing. So that's what I got them doing. Building their defense. That's what you got to do when you got a new head coach who's a defensive master. So that's what they go do. 14, Atlanta Falcons. Real simple. He's on the board. It's what they need. Defensive tackle out of Houston, Ed Oliver. Washington football picks 15th. They're going to hit just one need. They go take Daniel Jones, quarterback out of Duke. Not 100% sold on Daniel Jones, but at the same time, you can completely 180 me, and I'll be 100% behind him. He's one of these players who scares me. I think he's a bust or boom type player, and I hope he's a boom player because I like his attitude. All right, 16. The Panthers get lucky because this kid's still on the board, and I think they could use him. And it's the one thing Cam Newton needs, and that's somebody to keep him on his feet. They take Andre Dillard, offensive tackle, Washington State. All right, now we come to number 17. So my gut tells me come draft day, the 17th overall pick no longer belongs to the Cleveland Browns. I'm calling that now. The Cleveland Browns will not pick in the first round. They're going to make a trade. They're going to go get some veteran player or players. I'm not going to go into detail and exactly as to who. But if all goes well, Baker Mayfield will have some new toys. But since I am not doing trades in this draft and they're sitting there at 17, I have the Cleveland Browns thinking, you know what? We just got ourselves Oliver Vernon. We got Myles Garrett. Let's put somebody in the middle and just solidify this defensive line. And what do? Get Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle, out of Clemson. Damn! Number 18, Minnesota Vikings. They need to protect their billion-dollar quarterback, as I'll call him. So they go get themselves an offensive tackle and take Jonah Williams out of Alabama. Number 19, Tennessee Titans. They just want to get themselves some defensive line help. I have them taking Florida State's defensive end, Brian Burns. And don't be surprised if he goes higher in this draft. He's one of those players who could go possibly top 10 or bottom 10. He's going to be in that window depending on what team needs. Now, number 20. I initially had this guy out of my first round due to poor combine, due to poor interviewing, due to poor everything. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, as much as I don't like them, have always drafted smart, have always produced smart, and have always found a way to make the biggest dickhead be successful and things of that nature. So I have the Steelers taking Ja'Kai Polite out of Florida. I just got a hunch that they'll make that work. Now, 21. This is going to come as a surprise to many of you. 21. Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are a team who's always known to enter the draft and not always pick the best guy to position per the so-called rankings, per the so-called big board. They always take a guy that most people go, who? Huh? What? Be honest. Not many people thought of Bobby Wagner when they took him, and look how that turned out. So Seattle's going to take themselves a safety, and they're not going to take the best safety available on most big boards. They're not even going to take the second best safety on most big boards. They're going to take the safety they think best fits their system and most reminds them of Earl. And that's going to be Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the safety out of Florida. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson out of Florida. Safety goes to Seattle at 21. Now 22, the Ravens. The Ravens, as far as I'm concerned, have one of two choices to make. Offensive line to protect Lamar or somebody for him to throw to. Considering their offensive line is not 100% bad, it's not great, it's doable, and his weapons are, there's only one choice, wide receiver. And they take my favorite wide receiver in this draft, Hakeem Butler out of Iowa State. That sumbitch 6'5", and he runs a beautiful 40 time. He's got agility. People are worried about his quote-unquote drops. A good team and a good coach can fix that. Tiki Barber, for example, had fumbleitis. The Giants figured out a way to solve it. These things can be taught. These things can be fixed. Hakeem Butler's got all the tools. And Lamar Jackson, as far as I'm concerned, is a horrible, horrible quarterback. But he's an amazing athlete. If the Baltimore Ravens expect to be competitive, he needs to learn how to get the ball downfield. He's not good at checking his checkdowns. He's not good at reading second and third reads. He looks for the first guy, not there goes. He's got to figure that out. And the best way for him to produce is to give him more weapons he can trust. And without him, he's going to continue to run for his life when he feels, oh, my number one guy is not there. He needs receivers he feels he can trust, and Hakeem Butler would fit that build perfectly. All right, 23, Houston Texans. They only have one choice. They need offensive line. Deshaun Watson needs to have people in front of him who can protect him. Now I was looking at this, and I was just like, man, who would I like to have them take? Because there's options here. There really is options here. But at the end of the day, I think they'd rather have a tackle. But because he's still on the board, and I think he get kicked in to be a guard in the NFL, even though he played some tackle at Oklahoma. I have the Texans taking Cody Ford at 23, which is frustrating for me as a Raiders fan, because I really believe if he's on the board at 24, the Raiders will take him, because Kelechi Osemele being traded to the Jets just yesterday for a 5th-round pick. They need the guard, and Cody Ford would fit that build perfectly and fit the line right. But the Texans need same thing. So the Texans would take Cody Ford, and don't be surprised they would try him out at tackle anyway. So he could be one of those guys who flip-flops and gives him some versatility. So Cody Ford, guard, Oklahoma Texans. 24, now back to the Oakland Raiders. Raiders can go all over the place. The Raiders can jump all over the board. Raiders can take all kinds of players at this point. They can take another wide receiver if they wanted. They could take a safety. They could take a corner. They can take a tight end. They can take a linebacker. You name it. They can take it. So, my thing is, who do they take? Who do they get right here? And I've been battling with this like crazy. And I think if he's on the board, they're going to take him. I preferably would not want him because he's afraid of fucking contact. He's afraid of touching people, and that drives me freaking nuts. And this is why I have him going this far down in the draft, where a lot of people have him in the top 10. I have him going 24. And I have the Raiders getting Garyon Conley's partner in crime, and that's LSU corner Greedy Williams. The kid can cover. The kid can fly. He's got all the tools, but he doesn't know how to tackle. Can you say Deion Sanders? Just nowhere near as good as Deion Sanders. Don't even think I'm comparing him on that rank. I'm just saying Deion wasn't the greatest of tacklers. Deion wasn't the greatest when it comes to contact. But Deion was on a whole different level with his abilities to cover and what have you. If Greedy can get to that level, well then everything I just said is a waste of breath. But Deion was a special kind, and I just don't ever see him being that level. The kid's got to learn how to tackle. And if he knew how to tackle, he could be a top 10 pick all day. All right, 25, Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles could be going all over the place. I originally had the Eagles going defensive line here. And then I thought, maybe linebacker. And as you see, Malik Jackson apparently joining the Eagles just now might explain why the pick I have makes sense. And this is a guy I would love to see fall to the Raiders and the Raiders select. And I believe the Raiders would have taken him at 24 if Greedy Williams wasn't there, because they also need a safety. And that's where I have the Colts going, the safety. And I have them taking my favorite safety in this draft, and that's Nasir Adderley out of Delaware. Nasir Adderley out of Delaware will be a Pro Bowler in the first 3 years, if not as a rookie. He's a beast. He's a good player. Don't be surprised. All right. Colts. Real simple. You got Andrew Luck. Give him somebody to throw to. N'Keal Harry, wide receiver, Arizona State. Boom. Over. Done. Colts. N'Keal Harry, wide receiver. 27. Raiders' third pick. Raiders' third pick at 27. I have them taking Noah Fant, the tight end, out of Iowa. Now, I also wouldn't be surprised if he goes higher. But the way my draft board is set up, I just see it. I said Nasir Adderley, safety, Delaware. There, Mr. Davis, for the Eagles at 25. I almost had the Raiders taking Devin Bush here out of Michigan, because he could be another big play. But with Greedy Williams at corner, Josh Allen at defensive end. Do they really want to take 3 defensive players in the first round? They could. They need defensive players, so it could be a good call. But I see them taking the tight end because I just don't see Jared Cook coming back. And with the signing of Antonio Brown and the money they spent on Antonio Brown, I just feel that they'll take a tight end in the draft now. And I think that might be one of their targets. So we'll see. And as I just mentioned, Devin Bush, he's my next guy off the board. As the LA Chargers picking 28 will take Devin Bush, the linebacker out of Michigan. 29, the Kansas City Chiefs. I have them taking the corner out of Washington, Byron Murphy. When one of your division rivals just picks up Antonio Brown, it's a good choice to get a corner, especially when your secondary was a little last season. So that's what I have them doing. Green Bay Packers picking 30th. Miss out on Noah Fant at 27. So at 30, they take the next best tight end off the board and get Herb Smith out of Alabama. The Rams at 31 continuously try to figure out their secondary. They just added a safety and Eric Weddle. Now they go out of corner and Trayvon Mullen out of Clemson. Kaboom to the secondary. And the last pick of the first round belongs to the New England Patriots. And they will try once again to find a weapon for Mr. Brady. And I am taking Deebo Samuel, a wide receiver out of South Carolina. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my first round mock. Now, of course, my first round mock is going to change like crazy as free agency takes place. Negotiations begin today. Players have already begun signing. Players will begin to make moves. Players will begin to move all over the place. So, like I said, be on the lookout for it. Be on the lookout to see who goes where, who does what, who's joining who. Get on Twitter and follow people. You know, like let's see, who would I recommend for you guys to. Here's why I'm going defense. Luke's finished that statement, and that is because their defense is always pretty good, regardless of who they got, regardless of who they have. Regardless of the round in which they pick the guy. Their offense is always the same way, but Brady needs weapons. I mean, when you look at their offense last year, you know, they were 5th. I get it. Their passing was 8th. Their rushing was 5th. And I get their total defense was 21st. And I know they were 22nd against the pass and 11th against the rush. But this is New England. I think they're going to be heavy in the draft or in free agency. I think they're going to bring in defensive players. And that also controlled some of my mock, if you will. Just because I'm assuming who's going to pick up who, if you will, in free agency. So, as of Friday, my mock will slowly begin to change, and I'll slowly be writing it down. And slowly be changing things and slowly be updating things. But it is what it is. But anyway, like I was saying, get on Twitter. Follow guys like Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter. These guys are really good with their information. They tweet quickly and often. It seems like they race each other to get the information out first. And all I know is when you got Brandon Graham, was it Brandon Graham? It's going to be Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, Derek Barnett on the defensive line. That's crazy. That's crazy. But when you take a guy and spend $30 million, they just took themselves out of the Le'Veon Bell sweepstakes as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see what happens there. Now, speaking of free agency, and I just mentioned Le'Veon Bell, who do you guys think picks up Le'Veon Bell? I gotta ask. Most people have him predicted as the number 1 free agent. I mean, to me, the number 1 free agent is based off team. So, but where do you think Le'Veon Bell goes? I've been calling Baltimore from the beginning. Now, I know they're cap strapped. They might find a way. But my sleeper's been the Colts. Chris Davis is in there. Spectacular poo. He'll tell you that. I've been saying that since the moment we knew he was gone. I just don't know what anybody's thinking. Fletcher Cox with the eyeball tweet. Damn. Yes, Jets are. And the reason why I'm not putting the Jets as an option is because this is Le'Veon Bell. Not only does this guy want paid, he wants to play with a team he thinks he can win with. So, if you're Le'Veon Bell, would you take, just for fun money, $20 million to play with, say, the Colts, or $22 million to play with the Jets? He's probably willing to give up that $2 million to go to a more winning franchise. So that's the way I look at it. He's going to get paid regardless. I think he'll take less. He will never end up with New England. Never. Never going to happen. But while I wait for some answers, let's gauge into my crystal ball, if you will. I'm going to throw out some seniors that are going to come out of the draft at the end of this upcoming college season. That'll be in the 2020 NFL draft that you guys can keep your eyes on. Colin Johnson, wide receiver, Texas. Rashard Lawrence, defensive tackle, LSU. Calvin Throckmorton, offensive tackle out of Oregon. Trey Adams, offensive tackle out of Washington. Bryce Hall, the corner out of Virginia. Prince Tega Wanago, offensive tackle out of Auburn, and I probably just butchered his name. I always do. That's why I just call him Prince Tega. The safety out of Texas, Brandon Jones. Raekwon Davis, defensive end out of Alabama. Derek Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn. Justin Herbert, the quarterback out of Oregon. These are my top 10 current 2020 draft prospects. And my top 10 underclassmen, obviously, for those of you who don't understand, that means they're a junior or younger coming out of college, entering the draft. I have these guys. Walker Little, offensive tackle, Stanford. Cam Akers, running back, Florida State. Albert Okwuegbunam, I probably butchered his name too. Okwuegbunam, I'll get it right one of these days. Tight end out of Missouri. Laviska Shenault, wide receiver, Colorado. Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver, Alabama. Travis Etienne, running back, Clemson. Isaiah Simmons, outside linebacker from Clemson. Grant Delp, safety out of LSU. Chase Young, the defensive end out of Ohio State. And Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback out of Alabama. These guys are my top 10 prospects that'll probably be in the draft next year that are going to be underclassmen. That being said, pay attention to those guys for next year because, yeah, I'm crazy. I've already begun working on mocks for those things. What in the hell? I see him grabbing a safety. Yeah, and if you all notice, I didn't have Josh Jacobs going in my first round. Lions, Colts, Jets. Yes, Vikings are not exercising now. Yeah, the safety market's going to be big in free agency. And that's another reason why the Eagles might not target a safety in free agency. They could, in the draft, they could land one this free agency. They really could. But yes, Trey Flowers, who I think is one of the most important free agents. Lions, Colts, Jets are the ones that seem to be the front runners for him. And the Patriots, of course, are going to monitor closely. Trey Flowers is going to give them an option to match any offer he gets. Why wouldn't he? You don't see them landing a safety, period, huh? Okay. You think that. He says just period because of, yeah, okay, well, I think you're crazy, young man. I just think you're crazy. I just don't see them not wanting to visit that position. I mean, they were ranked 30th in the league against the pass. 30th. And here's why I say, when you look at the defensive backs, of course you got like Ronald Darby, unrestricted free agent, Jalen Mills, Ronnie McLeod, and Malcolm Jenkins. Then you have Avonte Maddox, Rasul Douglas, Sidney Jones, Corey Graham. These guys are all part of the depth or whatever. Jenkins continues to be the stalwart of the group. He led the team in tackles for a second straight season. Otherwise, the unit was hit with hard with injuries, like you said. That gave players such as Maddox, second-year player Douglas, and LeBlanc opportunities to prove they can play in the league. Now, they didn't do too bad, but I see them knowing they need depth. They need some serious depth, in my opinion. And for that being said, like I said, they're going to take what I think is the best safety if he's there, unless they address it early. But you don't think so, huh? Let me see something here. I'm looking at your team now. Malcolm Jenkins and Avonte Maddox. They're going to be your penciled starters. DeAndre Hall and Corey Graham, free agent, backups. Technically. So, I like Jalen Mills. Sidney Jones, if he can stay healthy. And like I said, Cravon LeBlanc did good. Rasul Douglas did all right. So, like I said, they could go linebacker. They could go linebacker at that spot as well. But my point is, when one of the top safeties in the draft is still sitting there, you got to take him. That's just my opinion. You got to take him. And he very well could not be picked. That's the thing with the Eagles. The Eagles can go all over the place. In this draft. And as an Eagles fan, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but the Eagles did not have a good draft last year. You got Dallas Goedert. He 33 catches for 334 yards, had 4 touchdowns, played in all 16 games. The only rookie y'all had that played in every game. He started 8. Avonte Maddox, he played both corner and safety. He's going to challenge to start this year. He played in 13 games, started 9. Josh Sweat, he played in 9 games, did not start. Matt Pryor, Jordan Mailata, neither one of them played at all. So of your 5 draft picks, 3 of them played, only 2 of them started. And both only started half the season. Goddard and Maddox will probably play pivotal roles in the team's success this season. But the jury's still out in the rest of that draft class. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But since I'm not getting many comments or questions, I'm going to wrap this up. For those of you who do my wrestling thing, I'm hoping to get that started tomorrow. So, that being said, I appreciate you guys coming in, checking it out, and being a part of it. Hit the thumbs up on your way out if you haven't. Leave a comment. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to update the website as soon as I can today. So y'all take care. Be safe. This is the SLS Gaming Network. And again, check us out. slsgamingnetwork.weebly.com. We out.